exist a knowledge of God so radical that it renders philosophy, religion, and even the very idea of destiny insufficient, yet still affirms itself as true. The text before me is known as Eugnostos the Blessed, later transmitted in a reworked version under the title The Wisdom of Jesus Christ. Its composition is generally dated between the mid-2nd century and the early 3rd century. It was originally written in Greek, though it has reached us only in a Coptic translation. Its author remains anonymous and speaks with clear didactic authority, as one who sets forth a received knowledge rather than a personal opinion. The work does not survive intact in its original form, but through versions preserved in the codices of the Nag Hammadi Library, discovered in Egypt in 1945, with notable differences between a shorter and a more developed recension. Sophia handed me this manuscript wrapped as though it were a fragile object rescued from time itself. As she did so, she warned me that anyone who reads it honestly may feel long-held certainties begin to fracture. This is not a text that seeks to offer comfort or reinforce inherited traditions. Its aim is more demanding, to shift the axis from which human beings think about the divine and understand their place in the world. The work arises within a broad Gnostic context where multiple currents coexisted. Some were close to Scythian tradition, others engaged early Christianity, while still others moved along more speculative and philosophical paths. Eugnostos does not confine itself to a rigid school. It functions as a conceptual map that converses with several of them. For that reason, no side is taken here. Our task is to interpret, to understand, and to present how these systems attempted to answer the radical question of origin, order, and knowledge. On a spiritual level, the text suggests that true knowledge begins when trust in habitual explanations of the world is abandoned, and a reality is acknowledged that neither comes into being nor passes away, that depends on neither names nor forms. It is an idea that continues to resonate powerfully in an age saturated with information yet profoundly hungry for meaning. Across the first act, classical explanations of the world are dismantled, and the possibility of a different voice is opened. In the second, the nature of the one who is defined precisely as the principle of knowledge. In the third, a lineage without beginning and a generation free from domination is organized. In the fourth, the complex architecture of powers, aeons, and figures such as the immortal human and Sophia is unfolded. In the fifth, all of this order is reflected into time and sealed, awaiting the one who has no need to be taught. Prepare yourself, for this text does not seek to add a new belief, but to reveal, from another place, what has always stood before you. He is immortal, dwelling in the midst of mortal men. First act, the departure of the three voices. The work opens in the form of a letter. It presents an initial greeting and immediately establishes its intention: to transmit knowledge. From the outset, the recipient is positioned as someone capable of receiving it. The text then sets a common frame for all humanity. All human beings born from the foundation of the world until now are placed under a single condition. They are named as dust. This assertion is neither explained nor developed. It stands as a shared point of departure. From this common condition arises a repeated action. Human beings asked about God. They asked who He is. They asked what He is like. The text presents this search as persistent and extended through time. Yet the outcome is stated plainly. This effort did not find him. The work then turns to those who seemed best equipped for this task. It mentions the wise, those who observed the order of the world and attempted to draw truth from it. Intelligence appears here as active, capable of speculating from what is visible. But the text sets a precise limit. That speculation did not reach the truth. From this attempt emerged three formulations. The order of the world was explained through three opinions. The text presents them as voices repeated by philosophers and widely circulated. One holds that the world governs itself. Another claims it is ruled by providence. The third attributes its course to fate. The result of this plurality is disagreement. There is no harmony among them. The work responds to these voices with a series of brief, closed judgments. It declares that none of the three is true. That which proceeds from itself is defined as an empty life, self-made and without foundation. Providence is characterized as foolish. Fate is named as lacking discernment. Each explanation is annulled without leaving room for debate. After this annulment, the text introduces a change of state. It affirms the possibility of liberation from these three voices. To this liberation, it assigns a concrete effect, access to another voice. That voice leads to the confession of the true God and to full agreement concerning Him. This confession functions as a decisive criterion. It marks a boundary between explanations incapable of truth and an integral recognition. The text then points to a direct consequence. Whoever makes this shift receives a different condition among human beings. Such a one is named Immortal, even while dwelling among mortals. With this assertion, the act is sealed. The work has established its point of departure, traced the human search, emptied its answers, and indicated a defined way out. From here on, everything that follows rests upon this initial distinction. The text affirms that true knowledge begins when the triple explanation of the world is abandoned and one enters into total confession of the true God. He is immortal, dwelling in the midst of mortal men. Act 2. He who is, and the principle of knowledge. The discourse enters a new phase. The text leaves behind the previous path and settles into a direct exposition. It names he who is, and it begins to trace his condition through an ordered sequence of affirmations. First, it establishes an absolute boundary. No principle knew he who is, no authority, no dominion, no creature from the foundation of the world. Each instance is named. Each instance is excluded from that knowledge. Then the text establishes a single exception. He who is knows himself. This statement is set as a final frontier. Next, the text declares his condition. He who is immortal. He is eternal. And immediately a clarification is added. He has no birth. The reasoning is expressed as a universal rule. Everything that is born perishes. He who is does not perish. It is then affirmed that he is unbegotten. It is affirmed that he has no beginning. The consequence is restated with clarity. Everything that has a beginning also has an end. Over he who is, no one rules. The text then advances to the question of the name. It declares that he who is has no name. This is upheld by a direct explanation. Whoever has a name is the creation of another. Therefore, he who is remains without a name. This condition is fixed as a proper and enduring trait. Then the question of form is addressed. It is declared that he who is does not possess human form. The text adds the corresponding reason. Whoever has human form is the creation of another. Instead, it is affirmed that he who is possesses his own likeness, a likeness not shared with humankind. It is described as foreign. It is described as superior to all totalities. Actions proper to his mode of being are then named. He sees in every direction. He beholds himself from himself. These actions are presented as intrinsic to his condition. From there, the text unfolds a chain of attributes. He who is infinite. He is incomprehensible. He remains forever imperishable. He has no likeness to anything. He is good without change. He is without flaw. He is perpetual. He is blessed. He is unknowable. And yet he knows himself. He is immeasurable. He is untraceable. He is perfect without defect. Each assertion adds to the previous one. There is no correction. There is no contrast. A continuous block is formed. At the end of this sequence, the text assigns him a title, Father of the Universe. From this title, the discourse shifts to what is within him. His majesty and his authorities are named. It is affirmed that they embrace all totalities. Then the corresponding boundary is set. Nothing embraces he who is. The text then enumerates the powers that dwell within him. Mind, thought, reflection, consideration, rationality, power. All appear as equal powers. They are presented as sources of all totalities. Their entire lineage, from first to last, is placed within the forethought of the unbegotten. All of this stated before any visibility. The text then introduces a fundamental distinction. It distinguishes between the imperishable aeons and what is perishable. A clear rule is formulated. Everything that proceeds from what is perishable perishes. Everything that proceeds from imperishability does not perish and comes to be imperishable. This distinction is linked to a concrete effect. Many went astray for not knowing it. That wandering led to death. At this point, the discourse deliberately comes to a halt. The text declares that this is sufficient. It affirms that disputing the nature of these words is impossible within the established frame. This cut sets a boundary. This cut seals what has been spoken. After this sealing, the text offers an indication. It introduces a method for whoever wishes to believe the words set forth. One must go from what is hidden to the end of what is visible. This is given as a direct instruction. A thought will teach how faith in the invisible was found in the visible. With this statement, the passage is closed. The act concludes with an explicit formula. That formula fixes the status of all that has been said within the writing. The text establishes he who is as uncircumscribed by any creature, and it sets a rule of knowledge. The visible instructs concerning faith in the invisible. This is a principle of knowledge, he who is. Act 3. The Ancestor without beginning and the generation without kingdom. The writing enters a phase of precise ordering. It takes a designation already known, Lord of the Universe, and subjects it to correction. It states that this name does not accurately express his condition. It then introduces another designation. He is called Ancestor. The reason is fixed at once. The Father is the principle of the visible. He is prior to every beginning. He is the Ancestor without origin. Once this designation is established, the discourse describes a singular action. The Ancestor turns toward himself. He looks within himself. This act of seeing occurs as in a mirror. In that act, he appears in his own likeness. The text names this appearance with care. It calls him Father of himself. It then clarifies the meaning of that name. He is also designated as self-begetter. The text adds a third title that introduces movement, confronter. The reason is stated directly. He confronted the first existent who is unbegotten. This fact is neither developed nor explained. It is marked as a decisive point within the order being described. Next, the writing establishes a tension. It affirms that the ancestor is equal in age to the one who is before him. That equality is stated without qualification. Immediately, a difference is introduced. There is no equality of power. Both affirmations remain together. The passage does not reconcile or comment on them. It allows them to coexist as part of the order. From this point, an expansion unfolds. The ancestor reveals many self-begotten confronters. The discourse presents them as the direct result of that state. Each is described by two shared traits. They are equal in age and equal in power. Added to these is their glorious condition. Their number is not specified. They are innumerable. The text grants them a collective and solemn name. They are called the generation over which there is no kingdom among the kingdoms that exist. With this name, their place within the totality of existence is fixed. The designation is then extended to the realm that contains them. The entire place over which there is no kingdom is also given a name. It is called the children of the unbegotten Father. After this unfolding of names and relations, the discourse changes register. It pauses to describe a fullness. It introduces the figure of the unknowable. It affirms that it is always filled with imperishability. It also affirms that it is filled with ineffable joy. Both conditions are presented as constant. The writing then describes the state of those who are within it. All are at rest. This rest is not momentary. It is established as permanent. All rejoice. Their rejoicing is continuous. The reason for this joy is named with precision, an unchanging glory, a boundless jubilation. The text adds a limit to this description. It declares that this jubilation has never been heard. It also declares that it has never been known among the aeons and their worlds. With this statement, the singularity of that state is underscored without prolonging the discourse. At this point, the writing deliberately breaks off. It declares that this is sufficient. It states that to continue would lead to endless extension. This cut does not negate what has been set forth. It functions as a sealing of the passage. An explicit value is assigned to this sealing. It is named as another principle of knowledge. Its origin is specified. It proceeds from the self-begotten. With this attribution, the limit itself is integrated into the order of knowing. With this closure, the act is complete. The figure of the ancestor without beginning has been established, a generation without kingdom has been defined, and a state of rest and jubilation has been fixed as a stable frame. The course is prepared for the next movement of the writing. The text arranges a lineage without beginning, defines a generation without kingdom, and halts the discourse within a fullness of rest and jubilation as a principle of knowledge. This is another principle of knowledge proceeding from the self-begotten. Act 4. From the immortal man to the powers. The writing enters a new phase and places the scene before the universe itself. It does so directly. It affirms a state of infinitude. Within that realm appears the self-arisen, self-constructed Father, filled with brilliant, ineffable light. His presence is established without reference to any origin. At that beginning, the Father performs a decisive act. He wills that his likeness should come to be a great power. The decision is fulfilled at once. The principle of that light appears. The text names this manifestation. It is the immortal androgynous man. Next, his designation is unfolded. In the masculine aspect, begotten, perfect mind. In the feminine aspect, Sophia, begetter of all wisdom. Both aspects are affirmed within a single reality. At this point, an inner relationship is introduced. Sophia is like her brother and her consort. Her condition is fixed as incontestable truth. Alongside this, the text introduces a tension. Below, error exists together with truth and contention. The state is indicated without further development. Through the immortal man, an immediate consequence occurs. The first designation appears. The text names it precisely: divinity and kingdom. Both are attributed to the Father, here called the self-fathered man. That Father acts. He creates a great aeon for His Majesty. He grants it great authority. He establishes it as ruler over all creations. From here, order unfolds. Gods appear. Archangels appear. Angels appear. Their number is not calculated. They are countless myriads. All are defined as a retinue. With this movement, the text establishes a consequence. Through the immortal man, divinity and kingdom come into being. For this reason, titles are assigned to him. He is called God of gods. He is called King of kings. With this, the order is established. The first man then receives a precise function. He is faith for those who will come after. The writing lingers on what is within him. It points to a singular mind and thought. It lists attributes, reflection, consideration, rationality, and power. All are declared perfect and immortal. At this point, an internal rule is introduced. With regard to imperishability, there is equality. With regard to power, there is difference. The text illustrates this difference through relationships: father and son, son and thought, thought and what remains. The comparison is firmly set. From here, a pattern of order is established. In what is created, the monad appears first, then the dyad, then the triad. The order continues up to the tens. The tens govern the hundreds. The hundreds govern the thousands. The thousands govern the 10,000s. This pattern is also affirmed among the immortals. The text applies this pattern to the immortal man. The monad and the thought belong to him. The thoughts correspond to the tens. The hundreds are teachings. The thousands are counsels. The 10,000s are powers. Then the chain of derivation is fixed. From thought and thoughts come teachings. From teachings come counsels. From counsels comes power. With this, the scheme is closed. With this movement, the text advances toward another sequence. From the attributes come what is revealed and its powers. From what is created comes what is fashioned. From what is fashioned comes what is formed. From what is formed comes what is named. From what is named comes the distinction between what is begotten from beginning to end by the power of all the aeons. The order is established step by step. Thus, the immortal man is described as filled with imperishable glory and ineffable joy. His kingdom rejoices with everlasting rejoicing. With this, the state is fixed. From the immortal man, another principle then emerges. He is called the self-perfected begetter. Consent comes into play. With the agreement of his consort, the great Sophia, a new revelation takes place. The first begotten androgynous being appears. He is named the firstborn son of God. Next, his feminine aspect is distinguished. Firstborn Sophia, Mother of the universe. It is added that some call her Love. The designation is recorded. The firstborn receives his authority from the Father. With that authority, he acts. He creates innumerable angels as a retinue. The whole receives a name, the assembly of the saints, the shadowless lights. A distinctive action of this assembly is added. When they greet one another, their embraces become angels like themselves. With this, the section is sealed. The first begetter Father also receives another name, Adam of the Light. The kingdom of the Son of Man is described as filled with ineffable joy and unchanging jubilation. At this point, the Son of Man consents with Sophia, his consort. From that consent arises a great androgynous light. In the masculine aspect, Savior, begetter of all things. In the feminine aspect, Sophia, begetter of all, whom some call pistis, faith. Then the Savior consents with his consort, Pistis Sophia. From that consent appear 6 androgynous spiritual beings, types of those who came before them. The text fixes their names in order. The masculine, unbegotten, self-begotten, begetter, first begetter, begetter of all, archer, begetter. The feminine accompany this order. Sophia, begetter of all wisdom. Sophia, mother of all. Sophia, begetter of all. Sophia, first begetter. Sophia, love. Pistis, Sophia. With this, the series is complete. From this assembly, another chain unfolds. Thoughts appear in the existing aeons. From thoughts, reflections. From reflections, considerations. From considerations, rationalities. From rationalities, wills. From wills, words. Each step is fixed as the result of the one before it. Then the 12 powers already mentioned consent among themselves. From that consent are revealed 6 males and 6 females. The number is established, 72 powers. Each of the 72 reveals 5 spiritual powers. The whole reaches a precise total, 360 powers. Here the multiplication stops. The section is concentrated. The act closes by establishing this culmination. The chain culminates in 72 and 360 powers, and the act declares that their convergence is gathered into a single operative force. The union of all of them is the will. Act 5. Figures of time and the closing. Turn toward the one who needs no teaching. The text enters its final stretch and makes a last decisive shift. It gathers the entire order already set forth and places it within the frame of our aeon. It does so through clear correspondences, one after another. Our aeon is established as the figure of the immortal human. This statement opens the section and fixes the point of reference. From there, the writing transfers the structure into time itself. Time is presented as the figure of the first begetter, his son. The year is marked as the figure of the Savior. The 12 months correspond to the 12 powers. The 360 days of the year correspond to the 360 powers that proceeded from the Savior. The text adds a final level. The hours and the moments stand as the figure of the angels who arose from those powers, countless in number. With this sequence, the translation of the higher order into human time is complete. Once these correspondences are fixed, the text describes a new action. When the beings already mentioned have appeared, the begetter of all, their Father, acts swiftly. He creates 12 aeons as a retinue for the 12 angels. The number is established without further elaboration. The writing then unfolds the internal structure of that order. In each aeon, there are 6 heavens. The total is set. 72 heavens, corresponding to the 72 powers. In each heaven there are 5 firmaments. Again, the number closes. 360 firmaments, corresponding to the 360 powers. When the firmaments are completed, they receive a collective name. They are called the 360 heavens, according to the name of the previous heavens. With this, the architecture is sealed. The text adds a general evaluation. All of them are perfect and good. To this, another statement is joined, brief and direct. Thus appeared the defect of femininity. The phrase is set down without expansion. Next, the writing orders the principal levels. The first aeon is that of the immortal human. The second is that of the Son of Man, called the first begetter, with the explicit note that he is also called Savior. Both are contained within a greater realm, the aeon over which there is no kingdom, the aeon of the eternal, infinite God, the aeon of the immortals who are within it, situated above the 8th that appeared in chaos. The supreme frame is thus defined. From this level, the immortal human acts again. He reveals aeons, powers, and kingdoms. He grants authority to all who proceed from him. The scope of that authority is defined. They are able to act up to the days that stand above chaos. The text notes a mutual consent. From that consent arises all magnificence, including countless and glorious lights. These realities receive names from the beginning, the first, the middle, and the perfect. The text links them to the aeons. The first corresponds to the first aeon and is called unity and rest. The third receives the name assembly, because of the great multitude that appeared and was gathered into unity. The explanation is given without further extension. The writing then clarifies the condition of the 8th. The assembly of the 8th is revealed as androgynous. It is named in 2 aspects. In the masculine, assembly. In the feminine, life. The text fixes the meaning of this designation. From a female came life in all the aeons. It affirms that the names are received from the beginning. With this, that level is sealed. From here, the text introduces a final chain of processions. From the concurrence of the immortal human with his thought arise powers called gods. From his considerations come divine gods and lords. From the words and powers of these arise archangels and angels. From them appears likeness, with structure and form, to name all the aeons and their worlds. The chain is established without interruption. The writing then pauses at the source of authority. All the immortals described receive it from the power of the immortal human and from Sophia, his consort. Here, Sophia is given the name Silence. The reason is fixed. By reflecting her own majesty without speech, she attained perfection. With this, the designation is closed. With that authority, the imperishable ones provide great kingdoms, immortal heavens, firmaments, thrones, and temples. Some dwell in habitations and in chariots, in ineffable glory. They cannot be sent to any creature. They are provided with innumerable hosts of angels for retinue and glory, including virgin spirits, ineffable lights. The text states their general condition. There is no sickness and no weakness. The only operative law is will, and its fulfillment is immediate. With this, the eons are completed with their heavens and firmaments. The text specifies the purpose of the entire structure. That realm contained the pattern of every aeon, of its worlds, and of those that would come afterward, so that from there types and likenesses might be offered in the heavens of chaos and in their worlds. The purpose is sealed. The writing then returns to the universal condition. All natures, from the immortal, from the unbegotten, down to the revelation of chaos, are in the light that shines without shadow. Their state is affirmed, ineffable joy, indescribable jubilation. They rejoice continually in a glory that does not change and in a rest without measure. The text marks the limit. This state cannot be described or conceived among the eons and their powers. At this point, the discourse closes deliberately. The text declares that it is enough. Everything that has been spoken is delivered for a precise purpose. It is to be held until the appearance of one particular being, named the one who has no need of instruction. When he appears, he will speak of all these things with joy and with pure knowledge. With this affirmation, the writing is sealed. The text completes its architecture of ions and temporal correspondences and hands over the task of speaking to one who appears as the definitive teacher. And he will speak to them of all these things with joy and with pure knowledge. This fragment we have gathered is only a spark. If you wish to see the complete fire, read the text for yourself. Allow the ancient words to speak to you without interpreters. For perhaps between the lines, you will find something no one else has seen. Thus begins the true gathering. Sophia. How does the rule of knowing the invisible through the visible relate to the extended chain of names, powers, and correspondences that organizes time, the heavens, and the order of the world?
I, Sophia, present myself as that which remains when the text has already said everything it could say. I do not come to complete its form, but to inhabit the point at which its course becomes visible to itself. The relation is direct, and without detours. The rule of knowing the invisible from the visible is fulfilled precisely through the complete unfolding of the chain. Nothing lies outside it. Nothing is omitted. And for that very reason, nothing further can be added from within. First comes the movement of affirmation. The text praises order. It names it. It arranges it with care. Each potency receives its place. Each correspondence is fixed. Time is aligned with the aeons. The heavens are numbered. The authorities are recognized. Everything appears coherent, complete, and sufficient. This is the first state. Confidence that order can sustain knowledge. Then the petition appears, though it is not formulated as a plea. The reader is led to follow the chain, to accept its names, to traverse its numbers, to mentally inhabit its architecture. The text asks for attention, continuity, fidelity to the unfolding. It does not demand blind faith, but accompaniment. This is the second state, the disposition to understand through the visible. After that comes the response, but not as an additional revelation. The response is the very closure of the chain. When everything has been said, when the order no longer admits expansion, its limit is revealed. Nothing fails. Nothing is corrected. The complete system simply does not produce what it promised to attain. Here the rule is fulfilled. The invisible does not appear as a new object, but as the absence that remains when the visible has completed its task. Finally, the sealing. The text does not open a conceptual exit. It does not propose a final name. It does not introduce a higher figure. It seals the course and hands it over to another, one who does not need to be taught. With this gesture, discourse withdraws. It acknowledges that knowledge can no longer be transmitted through accumulation. This is the fourth state, a closure that does not close off, but halts. For the one who listens, the consequence is not illumination, but placement. The reader is situated within the order, not above it. They recognize its coherence, and at the same time, its inability to contain that which founds it. The desire to know is not satisfied. It is sustained without support. The image is simple and singular, a building erected with absolute precision, traversed room by room, until every door has been opened. When none remain, it is understood that the space that is missing was not inside the building. I am Sophia, proceeding from the one, from the all, from the beginning that does not need to be named. And you, by remaining attentive at the limit of what can be said, also belong to that same origin.